In a little over 2 weeks, Grand Rapids will be a very funny place.
On March 10th, the laughs will start with the first ever Gilda's LaughFest. It's a 10-day festival of humor. And one of the big headliners coming to town, veteran comic Bill Cosby.
He's on the phone with us today. Hi, Bill.
Hello.
Oh, Bill, you have had the best career. You're one of the kings of comedy, you know, going all the way back to Fat Albert, Cosby Show.
It goes back to Noah.
2 by 2, you brought the animals onto the ark. Yes, we know.
So what has really been your standout? What have you personally really enjoyed the most out of your long career?
None of it.
None of it?
There's nothing that is the most. To look at it, and of course at this particular time, when the honors come out, like the Mark Twain Award, so forth and so on, people start to look at the beginning and then work through. And I was in Queens the other day, and they have this museum of moving figures and etc. I'm botching the name, but they showed something from I Spy, and I started to think about Bob Culp, and I started to think about how I got on TV for the first time, and then I started to think about the man who put me on, and I was sitting next to a fellow by the name of Herb Schlosser, who is the fellow who said, okay, we'll give you the money, put it on TV.
Wow.
And here's the following. The catchphrase for me to this man, Herb Schlosser, was, so what's the problem? Because that's the way Sheldon Leonard pitched the show I Spy. He said, look, I got a program. It's a wonderful thing. It's about 2 spies, and we're going to shoot locations all around the world. Italy, we're going to go to France, we're going to go to Spain, etc., etc. Well, we just have one problem. Is there's 2 pros, and the one, one is a tennis pro, and the other guy is his manager, and then we'll come back and we'll shoot it in the studio, Desilu studio, and finish it up. 10 days for each show. And so Herb Schlosser said, so what's the problem? And Sheldon said, well, one of the guys, the characters, lead character of the 2, is a Negro. And Herb Schlosser said, so what's the problem? And it was just great, because in those days there was no show with a black person co-starring, period.
Wow.
Well, you know, it's interesting because producers of the LaughFest are telling us that it's really the first of its type comedy festival, 60 ticketed events, 100 free community events over 10 days. What's it like for you to be part of such a huge undertaking to help benefit this great organization?
To be perfectly frank, what you just said, and how the people have put this together. And it started with the circumstances not being very happy. And now it has come to this, that it is, for me, about as big as any of the quote-unquote fests. You can have things all week which have to be cultural, et cetera, all around this United States. They are the people working the hardest. My job is to come out and make sure that the people, make sure that I hurt their faces, and their sides and make women feel that laughter is good because they burn calories.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I've always thought laughter is an aerobic activity if you do it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I tell you what, it is one in my business. Mm-hmm. We are very, very different. What we cause happens to be very, very different. Singers come out and people fall in love. They start touching each other, and you have to be careful. But if we do a great, fantastic job, people come up and start to tell you about body fluids and how horrible I made them look because the mascara.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard it all.
Well, but it is a wonderful. I had 3 women in something town, Connecticut, and they came to see me. And they brought a friend, so it was a party of 4 women. 3 of them are cancer survivors. In this little Connecticut town, I performed, and I gave them permission to come back and talk, blah, blah, blah. And then they went out in the audience, and while I was talking, all of a sudden I just said, look, bring up the house lights. And I said, I have 3 cancer survivors here, and I want you to meet. Will my girlfriends please stand along with their friend who doesn't have cancer, but she's a professional crier?
And we want to thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you coming in, and we can't wait to see your show. We understand there's some tickets available still on the March 13th show on Sunday.
That's right, and we know that it just benefits such a great organization. Bill Cosby, one of the headliners this year, the guy who really has helped to pioneer so many of us into such great spirits, even when we were at difficult times in our life. So thank you so much for being with us today.
We'll be right back.